and welcome to Ginger Welsh Allotments. I am Bethan and today I am mooching around the house, and I thought I'd show you a couple of things that are going on at the moment and what has worked and what hasn't, like normal. So the first thing I wanted to say was on the weekend we went on the Sunday to the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast live festival, which was set up by the Skinny Jean Gardener, and one of the things he does is works to get children interested in gardening. So my children came away with some tools. I think the first 25 children were given a toolkit, and my children had one of these each. They also got to plant some wildflower seeds in these cups, so I need to keep them going. And if you bought a drink, you got a packet of free seeds, and I got these Brussels sprouts, which is really good because I've planted all of my Brussels sprout seeds, so I did need to get some for next year, but now I don't need to. And there wasn't a massive turnout at the festival, but it was a really pleasant time spent there. The children absolutely loved doing their planting. There were a few stalls there, some about recycling plastic. There was a succulent stall there, and I think there was a stall selling honey. And then there was a lot of live podcasting going on. Well, I don't know if it was live, but there was a lot of interviews going on, which the Skinny Jean Gardener might use on his podcasts. So check him out if you are into your podcasts. And the other thing I did there was I met up with Richard from the Veg Grower podcast, and it was really lovely to meet him. He was a smashing guy. Hello Richard, I hope you're watching this. And if you haven't checked out his podcast, then pop over to the Veg Grower podcast. He does podcasts and vlogs, so if you're interested in both, you can see both. And it was really lovely to catch up with people, because you talk to them through YouTube and leave comments and things, but sometimes it's nice to actually see them in person, and they travelled a long way to come to the festival, so it was a mammoth effort on Richard's behalf. So I hope he's recovered and his chicken is better. And I also did a bit of recording for his podcast, so if you want to check out the Veg Grower podcast, pop over to there. But now I'll show you what else is going on around the house. So I thought I would start off by showing you the one solitary aubergine that I have growing in my greenhouse. There doesn't seem to be any more on any of the other plants. Oh, hang on, there is one there. I tell a lie, there's one growing there. So maybe this variety is quite late at growing its fruit. The rosella plant I have growing in here is doing really well. And I've got a couple more towards the back there. And I've had tomatoes off it for the last 4 or 5 weeks now, but I think it's coming to the end of its life. And my melon plant, well, there's no melon anywhere that I can see, which is a little disappointing, but it is meant to be an outdoor growing variety, and I just ran out of space over the allotment that was clear, so I shoved it in there, so maybe that's why it didn't work very well. And the last bits and bobs I've got growing at the moment in here are some foxgloves and some winter savoury. The foxgloves I was hoping to put over the allotment, but again I still haven't cleared the space where I want them to go, and I don't want to plonk them in anywhere, so I think they're going to end up going in the borders here, and I'll plant some more for next year to go over the allotment. In my mini greenhouse, the peppers are beginning to ripen, And there's those 2 red ones now that I'm going to harvest this afternoon, and there's a couple more beginning to ripen. So I'm very pleased with that, because last year I didn't have any ripe peppers, they were all green, and I do prefer a red pepper to a green pepper. The gooseberry plants and tomato plants are doing well. These tomato plants are kind of coming to the end now. I've taken quite a lot of plants off them, and this gooseberry plant seems to have put on a lot of green this year, so I'm pleased about that. I might end up leaving them in the pots now instead of finding somewhere over the allotment to put them. They seem to be growing quite happy in the pot, so I think that might be the way forward. And down here are my comfrey plant and lavender plant. Oh, and here was some cauliflowers, but they got eaten in the greenhouse, so I put them down here a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't cleared them yet. But the lavender and the comfrey, apart from needing a huge water, will hopefully go over to my allotment when I've got round to doing the flower section. Everything along here is much the same. The blueberries have grown quite a bit, as has the rosemary, which I need to take cuttings off, and my pansies have had it now, they do need to come out. My raspberries really suffered in the heat, and I haven't had any raspberries off them yet, although I can see at the back that they got a couple of berries there, but I was expecting more berries off them, but maybe they'll all bloom at once at the end of the season instead of the beginning, so fingers crossed. As you can see, there's a lot of dieback on here. I need to cut all that away, because that's just where it suffered from the warmth, the really warm weather we had. And again, in this pot, flowers that have gone over. And I'm very sad to report my hanging baskets didn't get watered when I was on holiday, and everything died apart from these geraniums, which my neighbour gave to me, and I planted in there. And I was really disappointed, because I'd planted I'd sowed all the other plants myself, so I was really pleased with how they were looking, and then they just died from lack of water when I was away. Similarly, this pot suffered from lack of water as well, although the busy lizzies are still hanging on in there. But my antirrhinum all died, so that was a bit disappointing. But on the other hand, my sunflowers are doing really well, as is the cosmos, the dahlias, but I do need to tie those sunflowers in, because they are beginning to get blown over with the wind. The borage my friend Carol gave me while I was around her garden filming a couple of months ago is doing really well. I decided to plant it in pots, as they are very prone to self-seeding. So I thought I'd put them in pots and put them on the concrete, so there's less chance of borage popping up here, there and everywhere. Now my tomatoes have collapsed really. The canes have collapsed under the weight of the tomatoes, and I haven't really found the time to sort them out in the last 3 weeks, so they've just been stuck there like that. And maybe today is the day I sort them out, or at least try and side shoot a couple of them. And I also need to deadhead these roses, as they're beginning to put up their seed heads there. The sunflowers in my garden are just rocketed away. These were planted for Nick's Allotment Diaries Sunflower Challenge, and I've got a couple that are really big but no heads, and a couple that are looking quite promising. So I might be entering that one. I think that one is the biggest, but I'll have to measure it. And the other interesting thing is this one I'm going to call the Hydra because it has multiple heads on it, and the Variety Titan should only be a one head sunflower. So not that I'm averse to multiple heads, but it was just unexpected. The rest of the border is still going strong. My zinnias are putting on a lovely display of pink and orange, but my cosmos has put out a load of foliage but no flowers yet. The medallias are still going strong, and the petunia. I've taken out the cornflowers as they had all gone over, and I'm going to put these purple coneflowers in their place instead. And I'm also going to take out that wigwam because the sweet peas never grew up it, so there's no need to keep that in. And there's a couple more zinnias down here, which is just a lovely striking pink and orange. So I'm pleased with how the border has turned out this year. I've learned a few things about it, and I shall hopefully put them into practice next year. I'm very happy with the sunflowers. They really are lovely. A lot bigger than I thought. I don't know if I'll grow such big sunflowers next year. I might grow the little ones, but that have multiple heads on them. But anyway, I'm going to get on with harvesting now, and I might try and sort out my tomato fiasco over there. Well, I'm standing now in front of the devastation that is the tomato plants. I have made them worse than they were before, and now I've got to go in and do the children's tea. So I'll have to come back and finish this job tomorrow. It's kind of getting there. I did a load of side shooting, and I don't think it was the weight that made the structure fall over. I think we had really bad wind one night and it blew over, and then green fingers, and then because sorry, I'm gonna be mad now, and because they fell over, I then didn't keep on top of the side shooting, which I think all that growth grew after they'd fallen over. But anyway, I need to sort that out. I will show you the harvest I had before I go though. So I've been having this amount of tomatoes every week really for the last 5 weeks I think. And as well as these, I've still got the tomatoes that come in from the allotment every now and again too. So at the moment I'm up to my eyes with preserving tomatoes, but that's not such a bad thing, is it? Well, I'll take my harvest inside now and start sorting that out after I've done the children and myself dinner. So that's it for me for today. I shall update you on the tomato situation on the next tour around the garden. So all I can say about that is lovely job, green finger.